piece was about Winston O, and it's from the book by Geoffrey Reaume. He's professor of the history of psychology or psychiatry at York U. So he had done research at the archives about the old city of Toronto Asylum for the Insane. And it's written from the point of view of the patients and their records, not from the doctors so much, okay? So he went about, I think about 200 people, he did very detailed research about their histories and their time at the asylum, right? It fell into my lap, Winston O. And Winston O spent over 50 years in the asylum. He was diagnosed, backtracking, he was diagnosed with depression. And this isn't typical for people with depression, to have a lot of energy, because they don't. Their thoughts weigh down on them, pull them down. They tend to be a little bit lethargic. But he's the other way. There's other things about him that become more and more interesting as I'm reading his history. He starts in his 60s and 70s to produce large-scale models, and he builds a full-scale automobile that's propelled by two levers in front of him. It's got bells and horns and whistles, and he builds all this through scrap wood from the workshops where he's working. Originally he was a barrel maker, a cooper. He starts to make automobiles. He made a full-scale airplane, working airplane of some sort that he wanted to fly. But the administration there would not let him. That was one of the themes. He wanted to fly, but they would not let him. He also built violins that he played music on for the guys in his ward. And all his cars and airplanes. You could see the guys thinking about being free. So I had to build something that was representative of his life. So the image came to me as a simplified car chassis to represent the car, then a grill of bars on the floor of that to represent confinement. On top of the confinement, the symbol of bars, is an effigy that I found in a tailor's shop. It's just a mannequin stand, not a mannequin, but a bolted pole with the shoulders. That's where I hung the black coat. The black coat was one of the prerequisites for the project. It was to unify every single thing. Everybody would have a black coat. And the airplane facet of his story is represented by a big wing that sprouts from the back of the effigy. It's held up by cantilever wires. So you can look all day. It looks like it's being hung from the ceiling. It's not. It's just aviation wire that pierces the effigy through the metal. It's harnessed down, and the wires that haul up his wings for freedom, as it were, extend down through the bars, right? Nailing him, confining him to confinement, even though he's trying to escape. So that was the metaphor that I wanted. Everything in the sculpture was going to be meaningful. Even the structure itself had to define the metaphor. So the wires are confinement, and they also echo to the violin. So nothing is extraneous. You don't see any gears or levers that aren't important, that don't tell the story. And I think it hit pretty close to what I wanted to get across. I had to think and work and act like Winston O for 2.5 months on this project. And that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to build it. I didn't want to run to Home Hardware and get everything, because he didn't have Home Hardware. He had to just use what he had at hand. Thank you, Winston O. I wouldn't be able to do it without you. And that's the truth. A lot of products or mechanisms, things I've never done before, had no idea of doing. I'd just conjure up his image and I'd figure it out. That's magic. I believe he's alive. God bless. Winston O.